Hello and welcome to What the Faux Travel Podcast with Nick and Amy.
Hello, long time no speak.
Yes, hello everyone. It's so strange, like obviously we're married and we live our lives together, but we are very much ourselves on What the Faux, but it just feels like talking to an old friend when we do this.
Yeah, it feels really weird because it's been such a long time. Even though we did this for years, it feels very strange, doesn't it? It's been a huge part of our life. We did it consistently for years and years and years, and now we haven't for a very long time.
Well, actually, now it's officially 2025. That means this podcast has been going for 10 years.
2015, I think it started.
Exactly, that's 10 years.
Yeah, I was just trying to work out, I was just trying to remember when it started. Then I was going to do the maths afterwards. Wow. I mean, yeah, obviously there were breaks, but
yeah.
Wow, 10 years ago.
Yeah, and it's completely impacted our lives, which is kind of what we're talking about today. So we'll just get straight to it. The main reason why we are uploading something is because we've got a new podcast coming out.
Yeah, we've been working on a brand new project, which we think some What the Faux listeners might like.
Yeah, it's travel related. So
Definitely.
We think you would like it. So we thought, why not mention here? Because, you know, the biggest problem with podcasts is discovering new ones.
Yeah.
So we're kind of helping you out here.
And helping ourselves. Yeah, you're right. Getting the word out there is always the toughest thing. You can make the best podcast ever, but if no one knows it exists, then yeah, it's never going to
build momentum.
Exactly. Thank you. Shall I explain what it is?
Absolutely.
Because I guess it's an idea that I had. And I've had this idea for a long time, but I never thought it was possible or it could be done.
But you got made redundant. I don't know if you wanted to mention that, but I thought I'd throw it out there.
Oh, yeah. A lot's happened. We're not going to go into it all. But so I worked for Manchester United. I worked for a football club making podcasts. And Amy was still running her own podcast business. And we still do work in podcasting. It is our jobs. We just make podcasts for other people and for clients. But I had a job working for Manchester United. So I had a lot of football experience. And I had this idea that me as a football fan, I wanted to make something which I don't think is out there. I don't think it's been made before. And it's about discovering the true meaning of football, but it's doing that by traveling around Europe if there's a budget for Series 2. Hopefully we can travel further. But traveling around Europe, visiting interesting teams that not many people have ever heard of before, but through meeting the people, I wanted to see, can I fall back in love with football? Because I was working at a massive football club and it was an amazing experience. But it's easy to lose focus on what football is actually about and why do we love it? Well, not everyone. Not everyone loves it.
I mean, I'm not the biggest football fan, and I think long-term faux listeners would know that. So it's kind of, they might be thinking, oh, how comes Amy's working on that as well? But there is a travel side to it, which is what I've been helping with.
Definitely. You're the one keeping the travel content really good. But yeah, it's going to different places, meeting interesting people, and it's not actually really about the football. Really.
It's about the communities.
The best part of this project has been meeting interesting people and learning. There's a lot of history in there, a lot of geography, culture, food comes into it, all sorts. And it's been such a fun project to do. And after every place we visit, after every episode, I actually think the football game we go to, because in every episode we visit a new place, we learn about it, we go to a football game, and then at the end of the episode, we think, what have we learned about the true meaning of football? It's not really about the money. It's not really about the glory. It's about the people. And often the actual football game we go to is my least favourite part of the trip.
Really? Okay.
Really? Yeah.
You haven't said that to me, so I'm surprised.
I've said it there's an episode you haven't yet listened to and exec produced, but I say it in one of my voiceovers, in one of my monologues. Oh. I question if I'm actually a football fan or if I'm just using it as an excuse to travel to new places. But you do, you think, right, I'm going to visit this place because this team is there. But if it wasn't for that football match, you'd never go to that place, and then you wouldn't meet all these amazing, interesting people and learn about this interesting place.
And actually, I think your knowledge of the world is rooted in football, isn't it? So any flag, I can guarantee that you'll know which country it is.
Capital cities.
Yeah, exactly. Where things are on the map. That's all because of football.
So people listening, don't be put off if you don't like football, because it's not really a football podcast. It's about people. Yeah,
and I feel like I should back that up because I'd actually say I used to hate football.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't mind it so much now, but working on this, and it has actually made me realize that, wow, football really is something more than what I thought. It isn't just some men kicking a ball and women, but we're talking about like standard football that gets a bad rep.
Yeah.
And it's not just men kicking a ball in a massive net. I still don't know how they can miss sometimes, but anyway, let's play the trailer. Is this the 30-second one or is this the 8-minute one?
Let's go for the 30-second one.
Yeah.
And if people like that and they're still listening, then maybe the longer one.
Yeah. Well, before we play that, just give us a list of the places that we've visited for this series.
Good idea. In order. Sheffield, first ever football club in the world. Should I have said that? It's not a spoiler, is it?
No, it's not a spoiler. It just doesn't sound very exciting to UK people.
We're travelling in the world and we go to Sheffield. Then Croatia.
Better.
Then Northern Ireland. That was interesting. Then Austria. That was good.
we don't need a sum up after each. Just list them.
Madrid, London/Brazil. Oh. Germany. Hamburg. That's in Germany.
Yes.
Am I missing one? I think that's it. It's been really good.
Okay, good. Right, let's play the trailer.
I'm Nick Thomson. I'm a football fan and I've worked in football for years now. The commercialisation of the game can make it difficult for us to feel connected to our favourite teams. So I'm hitting the road on an international search to see how it's done outside of the English Premier League. Why do Croatia always beat England?
Because you suck. Developing relationships and our relationship is all the better for having football in it.
No hay palabras.
There's no words.
Pure passion for the club.
Sound good to you? Join me on this quest and hopefully we'll both rediscover what made us fall in love with the beautiful game in the first place. This is Around the World in 90 Minutes. So you've just heard what it's called. It's just occurred to me that we haven't told you what it's called.
We're so good at podcasting.
We're like, listen now. If it's meant to be, you'll find it.
You'll guess it.
Around the World in 90 Minutes. That's what it's called. There'll be a link in the description. So if you think that 30-second trailer was right and you want to give it a go, soon we'll play a longer one, but it's about 8 minutes long. You might think 8 minutes, but it's because I'm telling a nice story.
It's a good introduction to the kind of thing you'll hear in the actual series because, like we say, it delves into not only communities and food and things like that and culture, but also history, which, again, some people might be like, oh, that sounds boring. Again, I'm not a massive history fan, but what you've created makes it interesting. There's lots of music and what us in the biz call sound design. So, yeah.
I think anyone who thinks history is boring, it's just however they've learnt that history was taught to them in a boring way.
And actually, didn't we learn a fact that, I learned a fact the other day about podcasts and history. So history is one of the biggest topics in terms of listening numbers. Yeah, they get massive numbers, even though people signing up to study history at uni is really low, or like the lowest it's ever been. And that's exactly the point that you've just made. So it's all in the way that you learn it, and podcasts make it interesting. So we've both gone out to the places. I've been helping produce, but you've mainly worked on this, and you've worked so hard, and it's been really, I don't want to suck up to you too much, but you've worked so hard and you've done amazingly well.
Thank you.
I've been exec producing it, which means basically you do all the work, I listen to it and then critique it.
Rip it to pieces and then I build it back up again. But it's needed. I need those fresh ears on it for sure.
Exactly. So I just wanted to say, like, for especially people that have listened to Foe over the years, I really think if you like Foe, I would really say that this is the best thing I've ever heard Nick create. And I think you should give it a listen. Just before we play you the 8-minute trailer, I just wanted to have a slight catch up, just to kind of say that podcasting, the biggest problem with it is discovering new ones. And so my line of work now, I've niched into the travel industry. So I'm making podcasts solely in the travel space. So there's more to come, is what I'm trying to say. And I niched into this space because I don't think there's enough brilliant travel podcasts out there.
For sure.
And I think more can be done with travel brands. All those people that we book tours with or flights with, they're not coming out with the content that's needed. And I think podcasting is a great space for that. So I believe I'm the only person in the world, or only podcast producer in the world, that's niching into travel. or niched, I should say, not niching. It's already happened. So yeah, more to come is what I'm trying to say. So whenever I've got a new travel podcast coming out, I'll be letting you know here.
And you just said how I've been doing well and working hard, and I can say the exact same thing for you on your business. Like you said, you're the only person we think who is specializing in just travel podcasts. You've already signed a few clients. You've been working extremely hard on your business. Anyone who started a business will know the hustle is tough, and for the first few months you can have no clients and you might question yourself sometimes and think, what am I doing? And it is hard to find new clients, but you're doing it. You've been running a business now for like 7 or 8 months, maybe?
Yeah.
You got a few clients on board. You're making some really exciting stuff. There's talk about some really exciting trips to exciting destinations.
Oh, very exciting.
But yeah, it's just so cool that 10 years ago, like you said, we started What the Faux Travel Podcast as a hobby, and we've been able to turn that hobby into our actual jobs. This is what we do. The project I've been making, by the way, like, is it like an investment? I'm not making money on this project. It's been a labor of love. But these days now, thanks for telling everyone I got made redundant, Amy. Since then, I've been freelancing like as a podcast producer and editor for whoever needs it, mostly in sport still. But yeah, that is what we do. And it's just so cool that, you know, with the help of everyone that's listened, anyone who's ever listened to even one of our episodes, it's because of you that we've been able to turn our hobby into our jobs. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, it's really been really nice to do this again and get back in touch with all of our What the Faux listeners.
Gosh, we used to take the mick out of each other 24/7, make sexual jokes, and now we're just being nice.
We've grown up now. I can't imagine listening back. I know we say this a lot. I can't imagine listening back to one of our old episodes. But who did you tell me? Someone famous said, if you don't look back on yourself and cringe, then you haven't improved.
Yeah, you haven't grown. Exactly. I think that was Mark Manson who wrote the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F.
So you don't even swear anymore.
Oh God, I've grown up.
And as a thank you to a lot of our What the Faux listeners out there, we recorded 2 episodes. We were trying like a bit of a new style, and it was fun, but we just didn't carry on with it. But we've got 2 episodes of What the Faux that we recorded a while ago and edited. They're ready to go, but we just never released them. So
when you say a while ago, that it was still 2024, so not that long ago.
Yeah, some episodes that had never been heard before. We're going to publish them soon. So
I can't even remember what they're about. I just remember you taking the mick out of Italy a lot.
Yeah, there was some funny stuff. It was basically each episode was a topic, and the first one was we had to come up with our most overrated and underrated countries ever. And then there's an episode about like world wonders and are they worth it?
Oh yes.
Yeah, but it sparked some interesting, strong opinions, which I know a lot of people will disagree with, but the people who do agree with it will think, finally, someone has said it. Someone has said what we're all thinking. So they were good fun. So they will be coming out soon.
Right, play the trailer.
¿Cuánto? ¿Medio? ¿Medio? ¿Finito? Thank you.
In the shadow of the Canary Islands' stunning beaches and picturesque landscapes, a local footballer named Jamie Escalante became a symbol of loyalty, perseverance, and love for the game. I'm not actually in Tenerife. I'm in my spare room, in my flat, in Manchester. But it sounds like I could be. Born into a humble family in Santa Cruz de Tenerife, Jamie spent his entire career at CD Tenerife, a small club that has flirted with La Liga over the years, but never had the riches or success of Spain's footballing giants. Despite his incredible talent, Jamie was never interested in leaving his hometown.
I'm aware that in a Spanish-speaking country, his name might be pronounced Jamie or Jaime, but at risk of embarrassing myself, I'm going to stick with Jamie.
Jamie made his debut for the club in the late 1990s, when Tenerife was struggling financially and often found itself battling relegation. Over the course of his career, Jamie had offers from larger clubs in mainland Spain, but he chose to stay with Tenerife, even when it meant sacrificing higher wages, better facilities, and more exposure. Jamie's loyalty wasn't just to the club, but also to the fans, many of whom were working class locals who viewed him as one of their own. During his prime, Jamie played through injuries and led the team to some of its most memorable moments, including an unlikely run to qualify for the UEFA Cup in the early 2000s. For a club like Tenerife, this was the pinnacle of their success, and Jamie was at the heart of it, not seeking professional glory, but playing for the badge and his community. While other players sought fame and fortune, Jamie remained devoted to Tenerife. He would regularly spend time with supporters after games, and often going out of his way to visit schools and hospitals in the community. Jamie saw football not as a stepping stone to a better life elsewhere, but as a way to lift up those around him in the place that made him who he was. In 2010, when the club was facing severe financial difficulties and a potential relegation to the third division, Jamie was offered a way out, a lucrative deal from a mid-tier La Liga club. It would have allowed him to end his career on a high note, earning significantly more money and playing in front of bigger crowds, but true to form, Jamie stayed. Jamie retired not as a star known around the world, but as a local legend, someone who had given everything to his club and community. After retirement, he stayed close to the club, helping with youth development and continuing to work in the local community. Though his name never reached the global stage, for the people of Tenerife, Jamie Escalante will always be remembered as a symbol of loyalty, hard work, and the true meaning of football. Neymar da Silva Santos Jr. was born on February 5th, 1992, in Mogi das Cruzes, Sao Paulo, Brazil. His childhood story is one of humble beginnings, with football at the heart of his early life. Despite financial hardships, Neymar was introduced to football at a very young age. His father played a pivotal role in nurturing his talent, guiding and coaching him from the start. The family faced difficult conditions, often struggling to pay for basic needs like food and electricity. But Neymar's love for football became his escape from the harsh realities of life. At age 4, Neymar's family moved to São Vicente, near the port of Santos, where his journey to footballing stardom would begin. Despite also being from humble beginnings, Neymar's story heads in a very different direction. In 2017, the transfer fee of Neymar from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain reached a staggering €222 million, almost £200 million. I remember thinking that Dimitar Berbatov to Manchester United for £30 million was a lot. Neymar's move wasn't just a record-breaking transfer. It was symbolic of how far the game has shifted towards commercial interests. Neymar, one of the most marketable players in the world, wasn't just signed for his talent, but also for his global appeal, which helped PSG sell shirts, attract sponsors, and increase the club's global visibility. While Neymar's on-field talent is undeniable, his move to PSG felt more like a business transaction than a football decision. He was already playing for one of the most prestigious clubs in the world, Barcelona. But PSG's promise of making him the highest paid footballer in the world and their ability to build a team around him, plus the commercial prospects of the Paris market, led to the biggest transfer in football history. Neymar became a symbol of how modern football is shaped by financial power and global brand building, rather than just on-field success or loyalty to a particular club. In September 2022, Neymar posted a video on TikTok where he danced to a jingle in support of Jair Bolsonaro's presidential re-election campaign. The video quickly went viral, and it was seen as a clear endorsement of the far-right president. Neymar's support for Bolsonaro was controversial, especially given the polarized nature of Brazilian politics at the time. If you think politics is divisive in the USA, you haven't been to Brazil. Many fans and fellow footballers criticised him for backing a leader known for his divisive comments and policies that often negatively affected the poor and marginalised communities in Brazil, groups Neymar had risen from. Combine all of this with Neymar's diving and play acting, and I want to turn the TV off and find a new sport to follow. That's why I'm making this podcast. I want to fall back in love with football and discover the true meaning behind the beautiful game. I'm Nick Thomson, a podcast producer based in Manchester and a lifelong football fan. Sheffield Wednesday, if you're wondering. I've had the privilege of working behind the scenes in football, producing podcasts with some of the biggest stars and top journalists, giving me a unique perspective on the sport. The English Premier League is a global phenomenon, bringing us the best players, thrilling matches and endless entertainment. It's a remarkable success story fueled by the commercialisation of the game. And look, I get it. Fair play to Neymar. He maximised his earning potential, whereas Jamie didn't. But I know which story makes me feel proud to be a football fan. What is football really about? Is it the glory of winning? The thrill of the game? Merchandise? Or something deeper like community and passion? I'm hitting the road to uncover the true meaning of football, one mispronounced team at a time. So if you're up for a kick around the world of football's heart and soul, then join me on this quest. And hopefully we can both rediscover what made us fall in love with the beautiful game in the first place.
Are you okay with me mentioning about the redundancy?
Yeah,